Hey y'all, I want to talk about some of the more commonly missed questions from the MLA test from week 11. Most of the questions that were missed the most lived in the section of identifying plagiarism or accidental plagiarism or things like that, where the question showed you a passage and then asked you, was the in-text citation correct, or was the sentence plagiarized. And so that's the majority of the issues that I noticed on the test. I'm going to talk about the questions that were missed the most. This means that over half, or right around half, just under half of the students missed the question. And then, of course, if at the end of the video I don't go over a question that you did want to know more about, please send me an email because I can explain any of the justification or the reasons for any of the questions on the test. So for this video, I'm going to go over question 11, question 13, question 14, 16, and 18. And again, the majority of those incorrect answers were on the plagiarism issues. Okay, so first, question 11. I'm not surprised that this question was answered incorrectly from 12 people. The reason that I am not surprised about that is because this question is one of the most commonly confused student understanding of how to do an in-text citation. Most students think, well, I wouldn't say most students, maybe that's not fair, but a lot of students who don't have very much like formal education on citing in-text citations will provide the title of like the website or the publication as the in-text citation. But like we learned before, MLA actually works off of a whatever comes first rule. So because of that, whatever comes first in your reference citation on your Works Cited page is what must be included in the in-text citation. And what comes first in this reference or this citation is the article title, and the title, not the subtitle, Global Minnesota. And so that is why C is the correct answer for question number 11. A is formatted incorrectly, and it's the publication. B is the publication formatted correctly in italics, but your in-text citations do not include the information found in the middle of the citation unless it's a page number. Okay. So now we can move on to kind of the more commonly missed styles of questions, and here again I'm going to touch on 13, 14, 16, and 18. Okay, so most of these are formatted in, I believe, the same way. In fact, I think all of them are formatted in the same way. It's the same passage. I'm looking at right around the same content, the first or the second sentence of the passage. The citation is the same for every single one of the questions. And so now we're just trying to figure out two things. One, is the in-text citation written correctly? And two, is the information plagiarized? So we will see all of the four options. We'll see that the citation is incorrect, but the information is fine, it's not plagiarized. We'll see that the citation is incorrect and the information is good, or the citation is incorrect and the information is plagiarized. Sorry, some of these are hard to read, I understand. The third one we'll see is that the citation is correct, but the information is plagiarized. And the fourth one we'll see is like everything's good to go. The citation is correct and the information is not plagiarized. Okay, so here for our first sentence, according to USEAM, companies stopped negotiating over prices around the 1860s. All right, so first question is this in-text citation correct? Okay, that's our first question. Well, we have the author's last name in our signal or lead-in phrase, and so yes, we can do that. So Right, we have a correct in-text citation, which means that any of these that say the student's in-text citation is incorrect, we need to get rid of because we know that the citation is good, it is correct. So that rules out A and B. All right, so now our next question is the sentence plagiarized or has it been paraphrased correctly? Well, the author of the passage wrote, and the practice of setting a fixed price for a good or a service, which took hold in the 1860s, meant, in effect, a cessation of the perpetual state of hostility known as haggling. Now, what the student wrote says companies stopped negotiating over prices around the 1860s. That is a perfect paraphrase of the highlighted sentence from the passage. So this information is fine. It's not plagiarized. And so knowing that, we can say that C is not the correct answer, and so that means D is the correct answer. The student has correctly written an in-text citation and the information is not plagiarized. So we're good there. D is the correct answer for question number 13. All right, so let's take a look at question 14. Same concept. We're looking at the same part of the passage. We've got the same citation, and here's what the student has written. The practice of setting a fixed price for a good or a service meant, in effect, a cessation of the perpetual state of hostility known as haggling. And then we see you seem. So question number 1. Is this a correct in-text citation? Yes, it is. We have whatever comes first in the citation, which is the author's last name, and it's correctly housed in parentheses at the end of the sentence. Remember, an in-text citation can be found in the lead-in phrase or at the end in parentheses. So we do have a correct in-text citation, and so again, we should remove anything that says the citation is not correct. So both of these at the bottom say the student's in-text citation is incorrect. So I'm going to get rid of those. So now we have to figure out, is this paraphrased correctly or is it plagiarized? We can say the majority of the words the author is using are used in the student's sentence. We see this phrase, meant in effect a cessation of the perpetual state of hostility known as haggling. We see this phrase, meant in effect a cessation of the perpetual state of hostility known as haggling. Okay, so this is plagiarized because we're missing quotation marks. This sentence does not have quotation marks around it. Yes, it has an in-text citation, but if you are citing any information word for word from the source, those words, whatever is word for word, needs to have quotation marks around it. And so here, the reason that this is plagiarized is because despite us having an in-text citation, we do not have quotation marks. That is 100% plagiarism because your reader is going to think that you wrote those words on your own. Not having quotation marks means that's your words, and they're not. Okay, so now we have to say it is plagiarism, but we have a correct citation. So the student has written a correct in-text citation, but the information is plagiarized. All right, that's what we want. So the correct answer here is A. Now I think that when you guys look at your feedback, the options are all jumbled, so it might not necessarily be A for you, but for this selection that I'm looking at, the correct answer was A. All right, let's take a look at question 16 and then 18. So same thing, we're looking at the same selection sentence from the passage. We've got the same citation, and here is the sentence that the student wrote. According to Jerry from The Atlantic, the practice of setting a fixed price for a good or service meant, in effect, a cessation of the perpetual state of hostility known as haggling. Okay, first question, is the in-text citation correct? No, it is not. Even though we have The Atlantic, even though we have the author's first name here and here, we do not have what MLA requires in order to have a correct in-text citation, which is whatever comes first in the citation. That is Useem. That is the author's last name. We do not see the author's last name anywhere here in this sentence, and so the in-text citation is not correct. And so we know that we can rule out two options for the citation being correct because it's not. Okay, so now we have to decide, is the text plagiarized or is it fine? Has it been paraphrased? We can tell, we've already read this enough times to know that we've got the same phrase, in effect a cessation of the perpetual state of hostility known as haggling. It's word for word from the author. There are no quotation marks around it. So yes, this is another example of, while credit is being given, it's still clear and distinct plagiarism. So that means the student's in-text citation is incorrect, right? And the information is plagiarized, which means in my list here, B is the correct answer. All right, we got one more to take a look at. And this one approaches the same passage, same citation, but just a different part of the original passage. So here we're taking a look at the first sentence. If the marketplace was a war between buyers and sellers, the 19th century French sociologist Gabriel Tarde wrote, then price was a truce. Okay, so we have to figure out what that means and if it's been paraphrased. The student wrote, if the marketplace is a war between buyers and sellers, then price is a truce. And then we see the, in parentheses, Useem. All right, question one, is the in-text citation correct? Yes, it is. We have the author's last name. That's what comes first in the citation. We need that. It's in parentheses at the end. So we are good. That means that any of our answer choices that said the in-text citation is incorrect, we can rule those out. That's not going to be our answer. It's incorrect. So not this one. The in-text citation is incorrect. Okay, not this one either. So now for me, this is between B and D. Do we have plagiarized sentence or has it been paraphrased? I'm going to have to go back to the original to kind of figure this one out. If the marketplace was a war between buyers and sellers, then we have who said that, then price was a truce. If the marketplace is a war between buyers and sellers, then price is a truce. Okay, so in this sentence, some information has been removed from the original. However, it is still very much word for word of the original passage or the original author's language. This is plagiarism as well. So we know that we've got a correct citation, but the sentence has still been plagiarized. So that is why, for me, B is the correct answer here. Hopefully this gives you guys a little bit more information on what in-text citations need to look like, even when you're giving credit. There's really specific guidelines for in-text citations, and then of course if you are giving credit but you're not putting word-for-word information in quotation marks, that's grounds for a 0 on any assignment for plagiarism. So it's just really important to be careful about those things. If you have questions about any other of the test questions from the MLA test and you want an explanation of them, please let me know. I'm happy to explain anything, and hopefully this also will kind of help you as you cite, quote, and paraphrase information that you're finding in your research on your papers. So email me if you need anything.